really happy to be here with all of you. Thanks for joining on this weekend day, afternoon. Our goal for today, and what I'm really hoping to do, is just really give an overview of positive psychology, well-being, and a little bit about the course, to give you a small taste, and then we can open up to questions and answers to see what you're interested in and what questions you have about it. So before we jump in, what I'd like to start with is something that in my work I call a reset. Now, I've been doing resets for a long time. I do resets in courses that I teach, in coaching, in webinars, but I was happy to see the word reset used recently in the New York Times article this past year. There's an article talking about information overwhelm and how we actually take in an average of 173 newspapers worth of information a day into our brains. It's really crazy when you think about it. And a lot of that has to do with technology and how busy and full our lives are. But just think about your day and how much information is coming in, from the people that you're speaking with and from your smartphones and your computers and the work that you're doing. And so, while this is wonderful and makes, life easier in many ways, it can also be challenging because then, when we need to really focus our attention, our full attention on the task at hand, how do we switch all that information off and switch on just our ability to focus on that task at hand? And so I do a lot of different types of resets to help us get grounded and centered. And we're going to start with one today that will also be part of what we call our introductions, our positive introductions. You'll see on the left our agenda. We're going to start with the introductions and then jump into our content from there. All right, so with that, I'm going to turn on just a little bit of music for us. So I'd like for all of you all to do, wherever you are in the world, wherever you're located, just close your eyes. Put both of your feet grounded into the floor, so square on the floor, and bring your weight down. Give your shoulders and neck a stretch wherever you feel your tension. Just roll it out. Take a deep breath, inhale, and exhale slowly out through your mouth. Continue your deep breaths, and as you're breathing, bring your attention more into the present moment, here and now. Now, what I'd like for you to do is think about a time in your past, recent or otherwise, when you accomplished something that you feel really proud of. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be an important conversation that you had with someone you care about. It could have been saying something that was difficult to someone. Or it could have been a bigger life event or a huge accomplishment, something that when you look back on it, you think of yourself being at your best. You feel proud of who you were in that moment. And I want you to think about a quality in yourself, who you were being at that time when you were at your best. Was it your kindness that stands out? Was it your tenacity, your perseverance? Was it your ability to be empathetic and really understand perspectives of others? What qualities about you do you feel proud of and admire in that moment? And once you have it, take another deep breath. Inhale, exhale, and bring yourself back to the present moment. And what I'm going to ask all of you to do now is, there's a smaller group of us, and love for those of you who feel comfortable doing so, if you could share who you are with this. So hop in and say who you are and what was that quality or that characteristic that you admire about yourself. Maya, do we have anyone willing to share?
Yes. I don't see any hands up. I double checked that Melanie doesn't seem to have done that yet. But if I encourage anybody that would like to respond to just either type a response in the chat menu, as I instructed earlier, or you could also click on the hand next to your name, and it's just a few step process for me to then put you live, put your microphone or your video live. So if anybody would like to, feel free and raise your hand. Just looking now. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Melody typed in connecting to people.
Very nice.
Can you see that line? Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see a hand raised next to Melanie, I think.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and... unmute.
Hey, Melanie, you there?
One moment.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. It just takes a minute. Okay. It doesn't look like... all right. It doesn't look like Melanie has her microphone on or her video capabilities on. So, but thank you for... Can you hear us, Melody? Or can you? She looks like she's... Yes, she can. Okay, so she can hear you, and she's responding through the chat. But for some reason, I'm not seeing her microphone and her video coming up here.
Oh, we have someone new just jump in. Someone named Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
EJ Ferranti. So with Melanie, I'm for some reason not able to see the chats, but could you type into the chat and maybe Maya can read out what your introduction is?
I unmuted Melody too. I don't know if Melody, can you speak up and see if we can hear you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Great.
my goodness. I know, the microphone, the little icon with the microphone, I couldn't get the check mark off to say that I unmuted myself. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problems.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. So, if you could just share with us what came up as being a quality you admire about yourself or something that you're proud of.
I feel it's connecting with people. That's definitely a strength of mine, and I enjoy it. It comes easily, and it's a gift that I feel that, it's a wonderful gift to have and to give is my connecting to people. I guess that's what I admire about myself, and especially in today's age with so much social media, you can connect in a lot of different ways, but there's nothing like having a conversation with someone. And so that's what I feel.
And what's one thing that you do that you think is unique that really helps you, connect with people?
Sorry, say that again.
What's something that you do that you think is unique?
I listen.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely listen to people, and I respond to what they're saying, and I look at them, I focus on them, I believe that what they're telling me is something that they genuinely want to share with me. So I think being authentic and genuine and sincere is something I feel that I could bring to the table. I'm sure a lot of other people can do the same, but I feel like I give off that vibe, and I guess I do, because people talk to me all the time. Strangers all the time talk to me. It's very interesting. It's very interesting, and I enjoy it.
Nice. Great. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So Maya, anybody else interested in jumping in?
It looks like Vanessa is contributing, so let me just see if I can unmute Vanessa so she can, in her own words. Vanessa, are you on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Vanessa.
How are you?
Good.
did.
So what came up for you?
I would definitely say just trusting my inner voice. That's definitely something that I've struggled with for a long period of time. So I'm really just tapping into that now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, they say that we teach what we've had to learn in many ways, and so it's almost like or that we're proud of too what we've had to learn. So it sounds like that's been a journey for you and something that you've grown in new capacities in more recently.
Right. Exactly right.
Nice. Well, welcome. Glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else, Maya?
I'm not seeing anybody else's. But here's your opportunity. If anyone else wants to say anything, you can put up your hand or type into the chat menu. It looks like Charlotte. Is this Charlotte? Can you hear us? Okay, she might be having technical problems.
Okay.
So that's all we have for now.
Okay, no problem. And I'll just share on a personal level for me. More recently, perseverance is one of my strengths, and just in a small way, this past week I had two sick kiddos at home, and I was sick as well. And those of you who had small kids can empathize with this. That it can be really challenging, and had a lot of work engagements going on, and so. It was one of those times where, I went live to a client yesterday, and it was challenging because, after a long week and not feeling well, but really, really proud that I went and was able to, have a great day with them and a really successful day. So, that's definitely a quality that I admire about myself and that I can rely on, unfortunately, right now, I need to. So I wanted to do this just to give you all a taste of what we call positive introductions, which is a really different way than how we as human beings typically introduce ourselves. Think about when you go to a cocktail party or a dinner and you meet somebody and that you've met for the first time, and they say, "Oh, hi, my name is so-and-so. What do you do?" And then we launch into the, I'm Allison and I'm an X, Y, and Z, and this is what I do. And it's a very different kind of conversation. And what I find, I do positive introductions a lot with participants and students, and it really just gets to the core of who we are and what we care about and what we value the most. And really, when we're talking about positive psychology and well-being, that's really at the core of what it's all about as well. So I, for that reason, love doing positive introductions. So I wanted to just give you all a little bit of a taste of, what positive psychology is. And I know many of you may have heard of it or may already even know a lot about it. But because this is what the certificate course is really focused on. In 1998, Martin Seligman, who's one of the leading psychologists in the world, a clinical psychologist, he was the president of the American Psychological Association at the time. And this was really the birth of positive psychology, because in his presidential speech that year, he proposed this idea that really flipped psychology on its head. I mean, he said that, wow, look, for the last 100 years or more, we've been studying human pathology. We've been studying mental illness and why human beings struggle and how we can help them get back up when they do. And a lot of the reason why there was so much emphasis in that area is because of the two world wars and the funding from the NIH. The research funding really focused in on post-traumatic issues, and that's really where the money was in terms of the funding. And we've learned a lot in those 100 years, and that was really important information. And what he said was that we're missing the other half of the equation. So what can we learn from human flourishing, from the people who are doing really well, and why they're doing well, and what's working? When you think about it, if you're going to go out and build a bridge, do you want to look at all the bridges that have fallen down, that have broken, or do you want to look at the bridges that have been able to withstand the test of time? And I don't know, for me, I'd probably want to look at both. I'd want to know why some bridges fall down, and I'd want to know why some bridges can stay standing strong. And so that was his argument. He was saying, well, we've only looked at half the equation. We need to also look at what works. And it was a really powerful move. And so since then, the field of positive psychology was born, and it's expanded into a lot of different areas. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. Don't love the term positive psychology. I don't know how you all feel about it, but I think they didn't have a marketing person on their team when they came up with that term. I don't love it because positive psychology sort of implies that the other half of psychology is negative, which, they're both important. At least that's how I see it. But we're stuck with the name. That's what it is, and it's a great field, and it looks at a lot of different areas like gratitude, high quality connections, grit, mindfulness, engagement, flow, character strengths, positive emotions, hope theory. These are all areas that are now being researched by some of the top psychologists at the top universities across the country, and we've learned so much in the last couple decades since this field has been born, and yet there's a lot still left to learn for sure. But the other great thing that I really like about positive psychology that is probably different than the rest of the field of psychology is that it crosses many different disciplines. So unlike clinical psychology, which is a very specific focus, positive psychology really can apply in many different industries and domains. So practitioners who know about positive psychology can work in corporations, they can work in schools, they can work in different types of businesses, they can work with individuals of all different ages and types. So that's one of the things that I love about positive psychology as well, is that there are practitioners across many different domains. Okay. So Martin Seligman in 2007, he came out with his book, Authentic Happiness. And in Authentic Happiness, he really talked about positive psychology in three ways, what he called the pleasurable life, the good life, and the meaningful life. And but in 2011, more recently, he wrote a second book called Flourishing. And Flourishing, his concept of positive psychology had expanded, and he created what's called now the PERMA model of well-being, which looks at these 5 different core areas that cultivate human flourishing and human thriving. So we have positive emotions, and positive emotions, they are like water or air. They are so essential for us as human beings. We just need them. It's really what fuels us. And some people would argue that they're even more important than food or water for human beings. It's a really core and foundational aspect of well-being. Another area is engagement. Now, engagement really came out of the work of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who is a Hungarian psychologist, and he studies this concept called flow. Now, with human beings, traditionally we've thought of having 2 different dimensions. We're either awake or asleep. So those are our 2 different dimensions of consciousness. And so what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi came in and said is, hey, there's actually 3 dimensions of consciousness. There's awake, there's asleep, and then there's this 3rd dimension that's called flow. And in flow, we are so engaged in something that we lose track of time. We're so passionate and we're so into it. And we've all had that experience, right? That experience when you forget to eat lunch, or you look at the clock and 3 hours have passed and you have no idea what happened because you were so engrossed in what you were doing. And really the key aspect of flow is this idea of being challenged in a task or an area that you're really passionate about. And so that's an area that's really important in terms of our well-being. So cultivating activities where we can be in that state of flow, which means finding activities that, first of all, we care about deeply, and that also where we'll be able to be challenged continually. So that's the second area, engagement. Then we have relationships, and it's not just any relationships, it's positive relationships, really, and how we cultivate positive relationships through connections with others, self-disclosure, and what Barb Fredrickson, researcher in this area, calls micro moments of love and connection. So, human beings, we're social creatures. We are meant to be in relationship with one another. And so this is another foundational, critical aspect of well-being. The fourth area is meaning. And meaning is really about the why. So why do we get out of bed in the morning? Do we feel like we matter and that we have purpose in the world that's beyond ourselves? And this can be in many different domains. It doesn't mean that we have to be saving the world necessarily, but it can be impact on one other human being. But it's really this idea that we feel connected to some greater sense of purpose or some mission that's beyond ourselves. And then the last area, which this was an area that was a little bit hotly debated. So originally Marty wasn't planning to include accomplishment as one of the PERMA areas, but one of my colleagues, Senya Mainman, she really pushed for this. She said, listen, human beings, we care about feeling like we've accomplished something, feeling like we've done a good job. And there's a researcher named Teresa Amabile, and she has written a lot on this idea of progress and how people at work, one of the most important things in terms of people's satisfaction at work is whether or not they've made progress in a project. And think about this for yourself. Have you ever worked on a project and then all of a sudden the company that you work for, the organization you work for decides that, oh, we're no longer doing that anymore, and they just drop it. And all of your hard work was now for nothing. I mean, it can bring you to your knees. It is so frustrating when something like that happens, right? So this idea of feeling like we are making progress, whether it's big progress or small, is really critically important for us as human beings. So part of this is certainly goal setting and moving towards achievements. So that's the PERMA model and how Seligman really frames positive psychology. Now, I have been involved, as Ralph said, for the last almost 10 years with the organization called The Pursuit of Happiness. And our mission is to bring the science of happiness to life. And so we really bring the latest science on well-being, and we provide free information on the website to people who use it. It really started off for educators and teachers, but now, we get 3,000 hits a day to our website. So we have all different kinds of people all over the world who use this information. And so, when we looked at well-being and the science that's out there, we cut it a little bit differently than PERMA, although what you'll see is that there's a lot of overlap here. And in this course, in this certificate course, we cover all of this in the course, which is what makes it really comprehensive and really exciting. So we call this the 7 habits of well-being. And, you see them right here. There's relationships, which of course overlaps with PERMA. Caring is something that doesn't overlap with PERMA so much, but we think it's really important because there's a lot of research out there on volunteerism, and it's either structured volunteering, but also unstructured. So acts of kindness, simply helping others that you care about. And, these acts of caring and kindness, the research is showing, has tremendous benefits on those who help others. So we felt that this is a very important aspect of well-being to really focus on, certainly because it's something that we can cultivate and do more of as individuals. Another area that's unique to us at Pursuit of Happiness is physical health. So we really take a stand for how our physical well-being impacts our mental well-being. And we look at the areas that research has been showing is having a really strong impact. So one area that we've known about for a long time is exercise. We don't really know why or what causes what in terms of exercise and well-being, but we know that there's some sort of relationship there. But in more recent years, there's been research that's been done on areas of nutrition like omega-3s and vitamin D, sunlight exposure, and also things like sugar consumption and sleep. So these are all areas of physical health that we think are really important that we pay attention to and look at in the context of well-being and health. The fourth habit that we look at is flow, which really aligns with Seligman's concept of engagement. The fifth area of spiritual engagement and meaning aligns with his area of meaning. And we have a spiritual engagement because there's a lot of research that is specific to spirituality, whether or not it's related to religion or not. There's been a lot of research out there in terms of being involved in spiritual practices or communities. Sixth area, positive mindset. This is somewhat similar to positive emotions with Seligman. And then the seventh area, which is a little bit unique to us, is character strengths and virtues. Now, in the field of positive psychology, they've studied character strengths and virtues a lot. So Chris Peterson was really the leader in this area. And we love the area of strengths because it's something that resonates with people. It's something that they really get easily. When we did our positive introductions, I could hear in those who share their introductions, you can hear people's strengths as they're speaking, what they care about, what they value, what their natural core strengths are. And so that's an area that is really fun to dive into. So those are our 7 habits of well-being. Now, what we do with the certificate course is we, in our modules, will cover all of these different areas. So we cover the topics of PERMA, and we talk about all of these 7 habits of well-being. So before I jump into just a quick overview of what the certificate course looks like, I wanted to just give us time to do a quick self-assessment because I like to be interactive with people. I think it's fun. Hope you guys like that too. And at Pursuit of Happiness, we have this self-assessment that we use with people that is based on our 7 habits, and it's really simple. So you can see we have all the different 7 habits here, although what we did is we separate out mindfulness, which is part of our positive thinking habit because it's a little bit unique and it's kind of a big area right now. So what I want you to think about is using a scale of, just a simple scale of 1 to 5. And let's start with positive thinking. So would you guys be willing to just share in your chat, on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate yourself? So 1 being, not at all present, or this is really hard for me, not doing so great in this area. And a 5 being, I'm totally rocking it in this area. I got this covered. This is totally me. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of how you feel you're doing with positive thinking. So how hopeful, optimistic on a day-to-day level are you right now? So could you guys just post that in the chat? So just write in your number, 1 to 5, and pop it in. So Maya, I can't see them, but are they posting?
Yes, everybody is posting. You can't see them yet?
Oh, now I can. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it just takes a minute to update, but yeah. Melody 4, Vanessa 1, Charlotte 5.
So EJ said she just took a mindfulness course, so her number's high.
Yeah, it's great.
It definitely helps, right? When we take classes, we get to learn from them. So I just see those 2. Any more coming in?
It looks like just that's it for now.
Okay. All right. If anybody else willing to share, pop them in.
Looks like Carolyn wants to be. Let's see here.
Oh, she's raising her hand. Okay. Yeah.
She wanted to also participate.
Okay. That's a good question.
All right. Let's see. For some reason, I'm not able to unmute you right at this moment, Carolyn. Let me see if I can.
I see Carolyn up there.
Yeah. I'm not seeing her microphone. Wait, let's try this. Okay, ready? Carolyn, are you there?
I think I hear someone. Carolyn? Carolyn, you there?
Yeah, I think that
Not working.
not working.
Carolyn, if you want to post your number, just type it into the chat at the bottom.
Hmm.
There.
And then Manika is raising her hand now.
All right.
Are you there?
Manika? Like she's unmuted. Manika, you there?
Hello? Hi. Yeah, I can chat now. I was trying to figure it out.
Hi. So, how did you want to share or have a question?
Positive thinking, I'm a 5. I'm very positive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome. And something to think about, for those of you who are high or low in different areas, this changes all the time. So, whether I'm a 1 or a 5 can oftentimes depend on the moods of my kids, I will admit. Those of you with small kids can understand that. It's not a stagnant thing, it's a process. But we do feel like it's important to be monitoring how we are, because that's how we can grow and develop. And one of the things that we're doing in this course is we're going to have participants actually track themselves, and they can pick what they want to track them in and how they want to track it. It's really up to you, but we'd encourage you to create a system to help yourself track where you are, just to get a sense for what that's like. So out of curiosity, we just did that with positive thinking. But what I'd love for y'all to do now is think about if there was one area that you could really focus in on that would give you the most boost in your life. One of these areas: positive thinking, relationships, caring for others, meaning, physical health, engagement, strengths and virtues, or mindfulness. What area would you want to focus on to give you the biggest boost or difference in your life? So if you could just post that in the chats. And then I'm going to move on, but I'm going to read them through later as we're going, okay? So just type in when you're ready into the chat. Okay. So
Monica started typing. People are starting to type now, if you can see them.
Typing. Okay, oh great. Okay, so we've got someone working on mindfulness. I don't see Monica's. Monica's. What did she write?
Engagement and flow.
Nice. Okay. Engagement and flow, mindfulness, positive thinking. Good. So we've got a nice diverse group in terms of what they want to focus on.
Health and well-being.
Wow. Nice. We've got almost all of our bases covered there. Good. Yeah, so just something for y'all to think about, if there's, because one of the things that we know with human development and growth is that we really can only focus on one thing at a time. And that's one of the reasons, too, why in this certificate course, we have our focus module on one topic. We really dive deep. Because in doing that, we can actually have development and growth in that one area. If we focus on too many different things at one time, we spin our wheels, we don't get anywhere. Okay, so before I move on, I'm just going to do a quick overview of the course in just a second. Before I do that, I just want you all to think for 1 second. I think if you're here for this webinar, it's because you have an idea, a seed, for how this work or content could make a difference for you, either for you personally or for your work, or work that you would like to do with others. Now, we've had a lot of really amazing alumni who have gone out in the world and done just phenomenal things. We've had one student of ours went out and she now teaches social emotional learning courses in school districts. We have a woman who attended who's a doctor, and she's also a comedian, and she uses humor to heal, which is really cool. We had a student in Connecticut who used this course to survey his entire school, students and teachers, on happiness. And then he wrote a proposal for how the school could become a happier place based on what he found out. We had a brain tumor survivor who is now studying the relationship between physical health and illness and mental health and well-being. And we've had lots of coaches who go through and use this work in their practices. So, that just gives you a few examples of how people take this content and really run with it, because, positive psychology, it's great because it can be applied. So I just want you to think for a minute about what your dream is. What do you want to take and run with in terms of this content, either for you personally or within your work? Just reflect on that. And if you feel so inclined, you could pop it in the chat box. That would be awesome. And I am going to now shift over and just run through quickly the structure of the course, just to give you guys a feel for what we're planning for the certificate. So hopefully you've all had a chance to go online and see the website and see, there's a lot of detailed information there about the course. This is just a quick overview. So the way that we have this set up is it's 6 months. So a 6-month deep dive into positive psychology and well-being, which is fantastic. So a lot of the courses that I teach are much shorter and much more on the surface. So if a 3-week course, for example, we've got 6 months and 150 hours to really dig into this content. It's fantastic. It's October through April, and we have 7 weekends. So 6 weekends are content driven, and the 7th weekend is the student final projects and demonstrations. In addition to our live weekends, which is at the Open Center in New York, we also have 6 webinars from leading experts in the field. So just a couple of the names: Sonia Libomorsky, who I'm sure many of you have heard of. She most recently wrote The Myths of Happiness. She also wrote The How of Happiness. She's one of our webinar presenters. We also have Robert Emmons, who's a leading expert researcher on gratitude. And we have Christine Carter, who is a PhD from Berkeley, and she works at the Greater Good Science Center, which is also at Berkeley. Really fantastic organization. Get on their newsletter if you're looking for more information on well-being. And she just wrote a book called The Sweet Spot, which is really great. And she's also going to be one of our webinar presenters. And really what we're going to be doing in this course is covering scientific research and theories, but also practical applications. Because our understanding is that most people who come into a certificate course, they are practitioners. They're practitioners who want to be dedicated to evidence-based practices, but are practitioners nonetheless. So we want to make it applied and practical for you. We will break the certificate group into small cohorts so that you have a chance to do some small group work in addition to our larger group work. And then everyone has a final presentation project that they'll be doing. And the final presentation project is meant to be very useful for you. So I'll get to it in just a minute, and I'll go into more of that. We're going to have an online academy, which is something that I use in an online course that I teach. And it's really great because it essentially creates an online learning community for all of us where we can communicate with one another, post announcements. It's where we'll post our responses, reflections to different readings and activities that we're doing. And it's just a great place to resource share. So, final project that I mentioned, the idea here is that you get to demonstrate your knowledge of what we've learned in the class, but in a way that's of interest and passion to you. So we want you to get in the flow on this project. We want you to find an area where it's going to really make a difference for you and be meaningful in terms of how you want to use this work, either in your personal life or in your professional life. So we're pretty open in terms of what the final output is, but you'll be coming in and doing a demonstration of what that project is in the 7th and final module. So this is really exciting. The final projects that we do, it's my favorite part of the course, because it's really where I get to see you guys get really excited and passionate about what you care about. And I've learned the most from the students who've taken the courses before and what they've presented. And it's really impressive and really fun for everybody. So before moving on to Q&A, I just wanted to share this quote. It's one of my favorites. It's by Viktor Frankl, which is that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. And Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor who later became a psychiatrist, and is very inspiring to me. I got into this work because when I was a kid, I had a really hard time managing my emotions. And I struggled with that in high school. When I went into college, things got better to me, and largely because I learned from that experience, and I read this inspiring book in college called Choice Theory. And Choice Theory was, it's now a very old book, but at the time, it's really about how we have a choice in terms of our attitudes and in terms of how we view the world and view different situations, really related in many ways to the positive mindset. And it inspired me. And so it's largely why I started doing the work that I do now. And why I now love to teach it to others. And now I get to see others have that aha experience as well as they come to this field and they learn about this work. So just wanted to share that and say that, this is really my passion, and I'm so happy to be doing this work, and hope that I'll have a chance to meet all of you and be able to learn from you as well.